driving okay?
The Russ Belville Show reminds you to never smoke and drive impaired. Hang out for a while. Share.
I think we're parked, man.
Take a little trip, take a little trip, take a little trip and see.
Welcome back, everybody. 14 after the hour. Time for us to go behind the headlines. And our friend Jacob Sullum out at Reason.com has a great post up today entitled Outgoing Drug Czar Gil Kerlikowske's Greatest Hits. As you know, Gil Kerlikowske, our current drug czar since 2009, was appointed by President Obama. He was a former police chief in the city of Seattle, a city that at the time had already passed a lowest law enforcement priority for marijuana, and also had the Seattle Hemp Fest, where pretty much cops turn a blind eye to public use of marijuana, Gil Kerlikowske being one of them. So when he became drug czar, we had some hope that he might bring some sensibility to the post, that he might recognize that as a big city police chief, that marijuana policing is one of the least priority crimes they need to deal with. But unfortunately, that was not the case. Pretty much, Gil Kerlikowske, very much like the drug czar before him, John Walters, continued to press the U.S. war on drugs. Here are some of Gil Kerlikowske's most famous sayings during this war on drugs. In June of 2009, Kerlikowske said, quote, "Marijuana is dangerous and has no medical benefit." Now, this, of course, coming from a guy who was police chief in a state that had passed medical marijuana all the way back in 1998. In July of 2009, he said, quote, "Legalization is not in the president's vocabulary, and it's not in mine." This, of course, when the first few open for question polls were coming out, asking the people, change.gov, asking the people what they would like to see the president tackle. And when time and time again, it came back that the people wanted us to do something about marijuana legalization, that's when Kerlikowske said legalization was not in the president's vocabulary. That led a few of us in drug law reform to buy some dictionaries and highlight the word legalization and mail those to the drug czar. Can't tell you if we got them or not. In August of 2009, he said, quote, "We had been hiking in 107-degree weather in the Sierra Nevadas, and when we came down, the question was in reference to smoked marijuana. And as you know, smoked marijuana has not been shown by the FDA to show medicinal value. This is a medical question, and that's where we're going to leave it." They always have to come back to smoked marijuana, because we've seen lots and lots of benefits from edible marijuana, vaporized marijuana, tincture marijuana. The smoking is what Gil always would bring it back to, because again, the FDA, the major health organizations are against smoking, which they should be. Smoking in and of itself is not a good thing. A year later, in August 2010, Gil Kerlikowske said, quote, "It is our experience that an overwhelming majority of police professionals does not support legalizing marijuana. Our opposition to legalizing marijuana is grounded not in ideology, but in facts and experience," end quote. Despite the facts and experience of Gil Kerlikowske's own tenure as the police chief of Seattle. In September 2010, he said, quote, "I think all of the attention and the focus of calling marijuana medicine has sent the absolute wrong message to our young people," end quote. Yes, what a terrible message to send to the young people, that the use of a natural, non-toxic herb could be medically beneficial. What a terrible message to be showing young people with cancer, AIDS, glaucoma, ALS, multiple sclerosis, and showing on video how they use marijuana and it actually works for them. Isn't that amazing? In October of 2010, while jumping in from Washington and telling Californians how to vote on Prop 19, Kerlikowske declares, quote, "People don't want to see someone jump in from Washington and tell them how to vote," end quote. And it's very interesting that Kerlikowske was very vocal in opposing Prop 19 in 2010, as was the Department of Justice. But come 2012, when marijuana legalization was on the ballot in Washington and Colorado, we heard very little. We heard nothing from the drug czar. We heard nothing from the Department of Justice in trying to stop them, despite the heads of the DEA, previous heads of the DEA, writing a letter, a unanimous letter, to call on them to oppose that. In December of 2010, Kerlikowske identifies Just Say No, under Nancy Reagan, as one of the drug war's major successes. Yeah, major success. Just Say No worked so well. All right, and let me get to some of these most heinous ones. September 2011, people keep calling marijuana medicine, and that's the wrong message for young people to hear. I guess we should go back to the Reagan-era message when Ronald Reagan was saying we have absolute proof that smoking even one marijuana cigarette is equal in brain damage to being on Bikini Atoll during an A-bomb blast. Is that the right message we need to be sending to the children? Let's see. We also have from October 2011, our concern about marijuana is based on what the science tells us about the drug's effects. Really? You mean like the science that's been telling us that it's effective as a neuroprotectant, as it seems to stave off the effects of Alzheimer's, as it seems to protect people against the progression of Lou Gehrig's disease, against multiple sclerosis? The final quote we have from Gil, April 2013, this is what drug policy reform looks like. It looks like a doctor. It looks like a nurse. Well, start listening to so many doctors in so many of these states that can tell you marijuana is medicine, Gil. All right, that time means that it is 4:20 somewhere in the world. 4:20 in the mountain time zone. I'll tell you, it's not 4:20 here in the state of Florida. It's like a felony here, folks. Smoke one for me, will you?
Ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam